Imagine a sunny morning in Newport Beach, California, the year 1973. Linda O'Keefe, a shy and talented Girl Scout with a love for painting and music, sets off for summer school, never to return. What begins as an ordinary day soon spirals into a tragic mystery that would haunt a community for decades. Join me as we unravel the chilling case of Linda O'Keefe, a story of loss, perseverance, and the remarkable journey to find justice through the power of modern forensic technology. Linda Ann O'Keefe was a shy little girl and a Girl Scout from Newport Beach, California. She had a passion for painting crafts and playing the piano. Her mother often marveled at her incredible talent for expressing herself through drawing. Linda was a diligent girl, always tending to her chores and keeping her room immaculate. She even sought her mother's approval after cleaning every corner. She had two sisters and shared a special bond with the eldest, who worked at a dry cleaning shop while still living with their parents. On July 6, 1973, Linda woke up for summer school, donning a beautiful dress adorned with delicate light blue flowers and dark blue trim. She tied her hair in a ponytail and SLP keep-on white ankle socks and dark blue shoes. She didn't headed for the door to wait for her piano instructor, who was supposed to pick her up this seemingly ordinary day, which marked the beginning of a horrifyingly tragic tale. Linda went to school at Lincoln Elementary in Corona del Mar. She usually rode there on her bike. On that day, however, her piano teacher offered her a ride to school, which meant she would have to walk on her way back after her final class was dismissed. Linda wanted to call her mother for a ride home. However, the school secretary refused to let her use the phone and instructed her to wait instead. Linda ventured off to buy some gum at a place called Richard's Market, where she met Brenda, one of her close friends. They chatted a bit, and when it finally came time for them to part ways, something odd happened. According to Brenda, a turquoise van came out of nowhere and was about to hit her. Luckily, she narrowly escaped the collision by quickly leaping aside. Moments later, the van came to a halt near Linda from a distance. Brenda couldn't discern whether or not Linda was talking to the driver. After that, Linda returned to school and finally managed to convince the secretary to let her use the phone. She called her mother to ask for a ride. Unfortunately, her mom was entangled in work at her job and instructed Linda to check back home on foot. But when her mom finally returned home, she immediately realized Linda hadn't returned home yet. It was getting late. So the mom tried contacting some of Linda's close friends for information. When Linda's dad returned from work, they both went into separate cars and began looking for their daughter. Their efforts would ultimately prove fruitless. At 6:42 p.m., the police were alerted. Aided by helicopters, a search unit was mobilized, extending the search to the woods and fields surrounding Linda's home. Meanwhile, the family tirelessly reached out to all of Linda's friends, hoping for any leads. While searching for Linda, officers interviewed a young girl named Janine. Janine and her mother were passing by when they spotted Linda, seated on a corner near the intersection, with a turquoise van parked beside her. Janine's mother vividly remembered a knowing intuition that something was wrong. Swiftly, she parked her car nearby, determined to note down the license plate of the dubious van. But before she could grasp her pencil, the van's engine erupted with a deafening roar as it vanished into the distance, with Linda disappearing alongside it. A woman residing on a cliff in Newport Beach was another witness who was questioned. She reported hearing a loud scream nearby, but since she was unaware of the fact that a little girl was missing, she didn't pay much attention to it at the time. The police looked everywhere for Linda, their quest stretching throughout the night. After a brief pause, they resumed their efforts at 7:30 a.m., joined by volunteers who eagerly aided in the search. While all this was happening, a man and his 4-year-old son were out on a frog hunting expedition near a lake just a mile away from Linda's house. As they looked around, the man's eyes widened in shock. There, hidden amidst the cattails, lay a little girl's motionless body. At first, he thought she was sleeping. He tried calling out to her, no response. His hand trembled as he came closer and shook her gently, only to be met with a pair of lifeless eyes, panic-stricken. The man immediately called 911. That young girl was Linda. Afterward, the Newport Police Department chased numerous leads, only to reach dead ends on every one of them. More than 40 years later, Linda's tragic case was almost completely forgotten until a tenacious team of investigators stepped forward, driven by the desire to give voice to her tale and provide solace to her grieving family. On July 7, 2018, exactly 45 years after Linda's tragic death, The Newport Police Department revealed they were planning to use state-of-the-art DNA technology to help catch Linda's killer and bring them to justice. The police sought the help of scientists employing a controversial forensics technique called DNA phenotyping. This method uses DNA and genealogy to create a lifelike age progress profile of a perfect physical appearance. Through this process, they were able to generate a profile of Linda's as Sallant using DNA samples found on her body. Now all investigators had to do was find someone who might recognize the murderer from this profile, and luckily, they knew exactly who to turn to for help. They chose the internet, specifically Twitter, as a broadcasting medium. Through a series of tweets, they revealed all the death details of Linda's case, including a composite sketch of the perpetrator. Furthermore, they had Linda act as the narrator of her own whoring story, recounting the timeline of the day she was tragically killed. The social media campaign went viral, attracting widespread attention. Soon enough, numerous tips and leads about the murderer's identity and location came flooding in from all corners of the country. In the end, it all led to the capture of James Allen Neal, a 73-year-old man from Monument, Colorado. He was apprehended in February 2019 and was subsequently extradited to Orange County, California. Neal was put on trial and pleaded not guilty to Linda's murder. He was also accused of being involved in various indecent and morally reprehensible acts, most of which were perpetrated against underage girls between 1995 and 2004. Finally, justice seemed within reach for the O'Keefe family, but their hope for closure was abruptly shattered. On May 25, 2020, Neal was rushed to a local hospital due to an undisclosed illness. He passed away only a few days later. There was some speculation Neal might have succumbed to COVID-19, but the Orange County Sheriff stated that Neal showed no signs of the disease. Despite Linda's killer-evading trial, the fact still remains that police investigators, thanks to an unconventional method, managed to capture a murderer who would have otherwise remained at large. All thanks to the power of the internet. At the very least, Linda's family can find solace in the fact that their daughter's case helped shine light on the effectiveness of an otherwise unheard-of investigative method. Thanks for tuning in, you guys. What are your thoughts on this case? Do you know other similar stories we haven't mentioned? Let me know in a comment. And before you leave, you know the drill: like, subscribe, and hit that bell button. Alright, see you soon. Stay safe.